I'm a bit sick and tired of this, everything is bad here in the Balkans, nothing can be done, we are all being controlled, you can simply move away, go to Germany or something like that. So I said no.
Voices of Belgrade, a city that never sleeps. But how do we find our own voice in the noise? How can we speak out if we have a message for the world? The first film in the Sounds of the Balkans series explores this question. We explore the issue through different communities and social groups and listen to those who amplify these voices and highlighting how these voices shape society by connecting people in Serbia. But to understand the current media situation in the country a little better, let's step back in time for a moment. The history of the Serbian media began to take shape in the 90s in the shadow of political propaganda and state control, especially under the Milosevic regime in the former Yugoslavia. A legendary figure of that period was Radio B92, which became a symbol of the independent voice with its alternative music content and uncensored news. B92 not only opposed the regime's policies, but actively supported anti-war movements and democratic resistance. B92 was banned on several occasions, but its staff always restarted broadcasting, even from abroad. The democratic changes of the early 2000s gave hope for pluralism and freedom in the media, but progress has slowed down and has even shown a downturn in recent years. According to the latest Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index, Serbia was ranked 54th out of 180 countries in 2014 and 98th in 2024. According to the research, media under the direct and indirect influence of the Serbian government, political pressure and untransparent state support increase the problem.
Everything is wrong. We don't have freedom in media. We don't have freedom for journalists.
Although the legal framework formally guarantees press freedom, its application is inconsistent. Journalists often face threats, and self-censorship is a problem. Let us look at the current situation. How can people who have no voice get access to the public? Our film explores three levels of media. We visit Oradio, part of the public media, an independent community radio station, Rádió Aparat, and a podcast studio, which could be an option for amplifying voices. We managed to plan the filming at the best possible time. On the first day of our visit, a snowstorm passed over Belgrade. So we flew with a serious delay, which made it a challenge to reorganize our meetings in the first minutes. However, we like challenges. Before our trip, our friends from Oradio pointed out an equally brilliant twist. Trains are not running to Novi Sad, only to Petrovaradin. This gives us a better understanding of the breakfast menu offered by the Serbian Railways, espresso and rakia, the local fruit brandy. Fortunately, the problem was solved, not by alcohol, but by Serbian hospitality. Predrag Novkovic, deputy editor-in-chief of Oradio, was waiting for us on the platform, and thanks to him, we arrived at the headquarters of the Vojvodina Public Media without any problems. The clock in the lobby, several meters high, calmed everyone down. We were on time.
Ciao. Ciao. Oradio is on the first floor. This is our logo. That's the studio. Sit here and speaking and playing music and
one person operation.
One person everything. Yeah. There are only 10 people in Oradio. When we started 10 years ago, there was 20 people, but long story. They are journalists and musical editors, and the older part of our crew is we are editors. Very often we are making videos. Person sits here, and you film from that side. Because you have some that of comic
decoration.
Comics.
Yes.
We have one podcast about the comics. We are only online. We're not the terrestrial program, and we don't say now it's 10 o'clock and we are welcome to. No, we don't say that we're speaking about I don't know, some stories or some interviews.
My name is Klara Kranjc. I'm editor-in-chief of our youth radio.
My name is Peđa Predrag Noković. I'm a deputy editor-in-chief.
I think that for a public service today, media like Oradio is necessary, because young people don't use media anymore, traditional media, on the way like a few years before.
Or decades before, yeah.
Or decades, or in the analog period or something like that. So if you want to have a young audience at the public service, then you have to communicate with them on their language. You have to give them some special place at the public service.
Well, we're not only the radio. We're the multimedia platform. The radio program is one part of our radio. There's also our website and social networks, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We were making videos of our shows, not just only the radio station. We don't prepare only the radio program.
We are part of a public service. So that's a very good position for our radio. We don't need a commercial, because our role as a public service is to educate, to inform, and to make fun for young people. And I want to mention that we have a very good cooperation with the University for Journalism here in Novi Sad. So young journalists are coming to our radio, and it's not so hard to find good young journalists at the moment. We had a few times, we had a problem here. Not so much about our independence, but about our existence.
In February of 2024, yeah.
Yes, our general director,
general manager,
he told that he will quit with
he will close the radio, yeah.
Yes, but then lot of these organizations, as independent journalists or university organizations of young people, they made through social media some public call to the management of public service of Vojvodina. To don't do that.
Not to close.
Not to close our radio, and it was very successful, because he decided about 2 days after this social media campaign and support. He said, "Okay,
forget everything.
Just continue. You have a good energy." And we will see at the end of the year what will happen. And now we are at the end of the year, but...
So actually your community saved you in one way?
Yes, yes, and we are very thankful for that.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Can we start?
Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay,
so nice.
great.
Thank you.
Nice. My name is Anja Ninic. I work on Oradio as a music editor. I work here for almost 3 years now. Yeah. I was in 4th year of my bachelor degree, and I came here to work as a music editor, and I was studying music academy, so it was like a dream and a goal that I achieved, and I was very happy that I started to work while I was still studying, so that was great. Not all radio, any radio. I was very interested in working on radio, on listening to podcasts, everything. I was also interested in music because I was studying music. So all radio was something in the middle. It's music, but music that I like. So it was best place for me to work. It's a deal that we play only music that is released in last 5 to 10 years. So it's newer music, and of course it's on our everyday program, like on our playlists. But in the shows, we have different radio shows that are specialized in one genre or one era. For example, 80s, 2000s. Most of musicians knows about us because we are doing this work for a long time. And if they are, I don't know, young and they start to promote their band, they always remember us because they know about us and they send us a message on social medias, email. That is the line of connection. We communicate on those networks, but also if they know that maybe some of us are working on a radio, they call us and ask, can we please come? We have a new single, we are promoting it, can we do it on your radio? And yeah, that's the main option for coming here.
It's really hard to reach the younger generation bands, so what is your experience in it?
It's not really hard, but I cannot say if we are getting to all of them. We have some bands that are eager to work with us. They want to communicate and everything. They also contact us and we also contact them. So it's two-way communication. I understand what you're saying, that it's hard to reach the underground scene.
Yeah.
I think it is, but from my experience, Novi Sad is not that big, and probably people already heard about us, and if they like what we do, if they want to work with us, they are usually very, very easy to reach. For me, because I'm young, I'm still very passionate, and I really like what I do. I really like to make music playlist for our radio, and I really like to think that someone will sometime discover some new music from our program. That is a thing for me which I like about this job.
Our journey takes us back to Belgrade. We now understand that there are also efforts at the level of public media to give a voice to underrepresented speakers. But what happens when these communities themselves take the microphone? The answer is obvious: community radio. The genre is something of a newcomer in Serbia, although we see community radio efforts in Novi Sad, Subotica and Belgrade. We are now heading towards community radio in the Serbian capital, which was perhaps the first of its kind in the country. The editor-in-chief of Radio Aparat is waiting for us.
I'm Svetlana Đolović. I'm co-founder and editor-in-chief of Radio Aparat. We actually, Zoran Dmitrovic, the architect and the co-founder with me of the radio, he actually had the idea to simulate something that he saw in New York, actually. It was like a radio that was placed in a bar, in a window of a bar. And that was actually the previous place where we were in Karađorđeva ulica. It was something like that. But, you know, concept-wise, the idea was like to combine the activist and social awareness of some topics with cool music and some fun, you know, old school like comedy shows and things like that. So we knew from the beginning that we didn't want just a music radio, because that's the most common type of radio in Serbia, because like, most of the commercial radios here are music radios, and then we have like the public service broadcasting and you know, things like that that are mostly like talk radio and like very like serious and very like in a way are archaic concepts of the radio. So we wanted to combine actually the two, which is the definition, like a light definition of a community radio. We just wanted to combine the best of commercial radios, like the good music, the you know, like the fun part of it, and that kind of public service idea of the community that we are. So we are one of those radios that, and then Zoran really defined it well. We just accommodated this program to the creators, not to the listeners. So the creators are coming to us and they're suggesting the shows, and we are just discussing it if it's fine with us. So we are just like catering to their needs, to their creative needs. We are giving them the space to find their own voice, to talk about things that they find interesting, and we don't really care too much about the listeners in a way that we should like the generally media are doing, like with the polls and with the search market searches, like what would people want, what they need. We just give them what we think they need, which is the idea of public service generally. So that's why we need to, we combine mostly the commercial and the public kind of idea of the radio. I was also working for a long time at Studio B, which was a municipal a public radio in Belgrade. And so I thought that people who had some sort of experience in radio making should be the ones who should attract the new audience, old or new. And then after that, the start, that was the start. And like in 7 days, like, I don't know, word of mouth was going on, and people were calling, and they were just wanting to know, like, who is in charge, who should I talk to if I wanted to have a show. And it was nice because in a way, because we all, the three of us were professionals in a way, but it attracted so many people who never actually had any experience on radio. They wanted to try, and that was the main thing for me. It was, and that's one of the most important things about Aparat, that I want to make radio interesting again for the younger audience, because like I'm 51 now, and I'm one of the generations, and maybe maybe a little bit younger than me, that actually knows what the radio is as like an old-fashioned media. But a lot of the younger people, the younger audience, younger than 30, they just don't have like very clear idea what the radio is. They know something from podcast, like the idea of, recording yourself and talking to guests. But the idea of live radio, when you can actually communicate in real time with the audience, and then you have to provoke the reaction and then get the reaction back in real time, that's one of the new interesting things that we had. We actually decided to comment on daily politics and things that are happening in this country through some other outlets than the news. So we have like the talk shows that are very open-minded and very actually political in a way, but they talk about art, they talk about activism, they talk about like environment and things like that. So we just choose the topics that are important to the people as we live, and then we try to give our political commentary about them during these talks. So we don't have like the news, so that the president did this and president did what's there, and they signed this and this. So, and we're also very, very much involved in the activism of protests, of stuff like that. We might not be supporting it like through, like you go out, but actually we do, because most of our shows are actually in that, like especially now with this Novi Sad situation and things heating up with bringing politicians to be responsible for their work, because that's one of the biggest issues here in Serbia. So it's no problem that you made a mistake, but you just have to be responsible, you own it, and then you should give up your position or whatever. So I think that is, for me, seeing the experience of the 90s of the government-funded media or even NGO-funded media, I think that these were two poles that we don't want, because they are however they seem different, they are similar in a way, because they also succumb to the pressure only from different sides, but all of them have actually that pressure. Because the one who is giving you the money is always expecting something in return in a way. It's bizarre. So we just actually like to open the questions, to start asking questions about stuff, not to give definitive answers about anything. Because I want the listeners of this radio and generally the consumers of media just to have the curiosity to take the exploration further by themselves, because that should be the role of media, just to help you to find your own tools how to navigate this world of news or politics or economics or whatever. Not to give you like okay, you should think that or you should think that, which media now do, because I really believe that if you say freedom, then you really have to own it. You have to act on it like it's really freedom, like not like you should not say that, you will offend someone. That is like actually the thing that is happening on for example in liberal media. So you have the idea of liberty, but if you're accepting our idea of liberty, if it's the other concept of liberty someone else's, nah, we don't like it, it's too much.
At the beginning of our film, we talked about the challenges facing independent media in Serbia. Now it's time to introduce you to the third level. But before that, we will have a coffee in the early hours of the morning. We are at the cafe D59B. This is not a place for advertising, but it is interesting to know that we found another radio station here, as the guys run their own station next to the cafe and promote a very sophisticated music line. Really great to listen to. But the coffee is gone and we are going to the studio. Podcast.rs uses an alternative approach, podcasts to amplify voices. We meet Vladimir Radinovic, the co-founder of the studio and president of Community Media Forum Europe, and we're about to ask him if this is the alternative to the true independence.
Okay, so my name is Vladimir Radinovic and I'm the co-founder of Podcast.rs, which is the kind of a biggest podcasting platform in the former Yugoslavian region. And we also run a production studio here. Besides that, I'm also currently the president of the board of the Community Media Forum of Europe. We started the Podcast.rs in 2019. And the whole idea behind it was that at the time, the media law in Serbia did not recognize community media. You couldn't really operate a community radio station and get a frequency in Belgrade, and so on. And podcasting at the time in Serbia was not really new, but the scene was very small, so to say. Maybe there was like 10, 15 podcasts. And when we started the platform, the idea was to gather this podcasting community at one place. Because if you were to go to one of the big tech platforms for listening to podcasts, and you put that your geographical location is in Serbia, all of the recommended content would be from America or from UK or anywhere else. You wouldn't actually get the local podcasts. Technically, you would have to know by heart the name of each podcast in the region in order to find them on these platforms. So we decided to open up a local platform that is only going to provide the local content, allow the audience from Serbia, but then later from all of the former Yugoslav republics, to find the local authors in one place. And also they realized that by joining on the platform, they would get more listeners because the people were using it as a discovery tool. And quite quickly we reached first the number of 100 podcasts on the platform, and now at this moment in 2024, I think we have around 500 podcasts from all of the former Yugoslav countries, but also people who are part of the diaspora who are making podcasts on Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, Macedonian, from maybe Germany or France or Netherlands or anywhere in the world. And we also have local podcasts on English and the podcast made by the minority groups. So we have podcasts on Hungarian, on Slovak, and on Rusin. because we realized that if we want to help this scene grow, we had to have good quality podcasts available for people to start listening, to actually want more of that type of content and so on. So we quite quickly started working with some of our friends from the civil sector. We said, okay, you are anyway producing, you are in every project you have some kind of a marketing budget or whatever. Instead of throwing that marketing budget at the big tech platforms for social media, you could actually create something that is kind of everlasting, and it stays even after the project in your archive. People can listen to what you are doing. It's a great tool for educating your community, but also for communications and other stuff. So they were very eager to start with this, and that's how we started producing also podcasts for the civil sector, and we still do that quite a lot. We always try to find the kind of a best case scenario, depending on the budgets they have, but also on the kind of what they want, what is their goal. We try to kind of fit into those budgets, and of course we always have the discounted price for the civil sector, because we think that type of content is very much important in Serbia. It's needed. Unfortunately, if you know the current Serbian media scene, the good qualities, especially spoken program, is almost gone from the Serbian radio scene. You still have it only at the national broadcasting company. So we said, okay, we realized this is a really kind of a big gap that we can fill with the content that we are producing together with the civil society. Ourselves, we're still not registered as a media because we mostly do productions for other people. But we do collaborate quite closely with all of the independent media in Serbia. We know all of them. There's not actually that many left. And for some of them, we do podcast productions. For others, we would do some trainings on how to get into podcasting, start producing this content. And our organization, it is called originally Podcast Support. The media law has been changed to align it a little bit more with the European standards. So there is a saying in the new media law in Serbia that there is this, they call it civil media, or the civil sector media. That's how they define the community media in Serbia. It says that the civil sector media has the same rights, but also the same obligations as the public service media, which makes no sense whatsoever. You cannot expect a small community radio in a village to have the same obligations as the public service. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. Due to the kind of a media control that the Serbian state is doing, it's almost impossible to get the frequency. However, there are some initiatives. More and more people are starting some small radio stations. They are all broadcasting online. But there is something going on, and not just in Belgrade, but I'm happy to say that in Subotica as well, Novi Sad. I still think that we need a kind of a umbrella organization on the Serbian level that would first of all join all the stakeholders within this sector, but then also advocate for the better situation and talk with the Ministry of Information. Some of them are doing a great job. They are participating on projects with other community radios from Europe. I see that there is some movement, so to say, but it's still far away from ideal situation, and there's still quite a lot of work to be done here. I've personally reached out to some people here at the ministries regarding the community media situation and so on, but very unsuccessfully. I must say, unfortunately, it seems that they don't really care. Even though I said to them, okay, if you now want to actually support this system, because it is in your media strategy, CMFE is there to help with our experience, with knowledge base, with all the people that are part of the CMFE, especially the expert group. But unfortunately, there was no reply back from anybody. I simply love great radio. I love great radio storytelling, and I realized at one point in my life that somehow whatever I was doing, radio was always part of it, or somehow I was doing radio on the side as well. So it was always part of my life. I'm a bit kind of sick and tired of this narrative that, everything is bad here in the Balkans, nothing can be done, it's all, we are all being controlled and blah, 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 you can simply move away, go to Germany or something like that. So I said, no, I think what we need to do is actually create this great support mechanisms. Audio format is very powerful because you are also allowing people to imagine things, to kind of, you're just giving them the story and then their brains can imagine things, worlds, fantasies, whatever is out there. I want great stories to be heard. I want to support people who have great stories, who are great storytellers. Also, I love the freedom of it. Here, it's not really, I don't consider it as a job. I love doing this. And I love learning as well. So I think that's also my drive somehow in this situation.
At the end of our journey, we say goodbye to our new friends, and to be honest, this is always the hardest part. We will also miss the colors and vibrancy of Serbia. The aim of our film was to find in the noise of the city the actors who not only observe but also shape society by amplifying the voices. Even with all these good practices, the question will stay: in which direction is Serbia media heading? The answer will be shaped by the speakers in our film, who visibly stand up tirelessly for the right to express themselves. Thank you for joining us in the Sounds of the Balkans project's film. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to follow Radio X on social media and check out our podcast series on this project. See you in the next episode soon.